Hi guys.
Hi, good
Welcome.
evening.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
This is our first ever streaming on
First ever streaming.
but we want to welcome you all. Thanks for joining. And we have quite a bit in store
Yes.
today.
We have a lot to talk about today.
Something very interesting. But I do want to make sure that everyone does get involved. So what you need to say, comment, make sure that you get involved as well, as we do want to make sure that it is as interactive as can be.
Yes, but before we start, let us know where you're watching from, say your name, where you're watching from, and yeah, how are you doing?
So I'm literally just trying to make sure that I can see who's joined.
I can see Micah Robinson. Hi, thanks for joining us. Pastor Moses is watching.
Now we feel
Hi,
under
Pastor.
pressure.
No pressure.
Who else is joining? Because I can't actually see. Jabril.
Hi,
you doing?
Jabril. How are you?
Okay.
Make sure you're sharing. You share the link as well on your Facebook. Start a watch party so other people can join as well. I'm also just sharing the link with my contacts.
Got another joiner.
But yeah, Rox, as we're waiting for people, how are you doing today? How are you feeling?
Nervous. No, but in all honesty, I'm feeling nervous, but I'm really excited because I do feel like this will be quite an insight.
Yes.
And it's generally the reason why we've named it Let's Talk About It, so that we can generally talk about it and feel free to say what we need to say, not really holding back, but with some restrictions. But we're just going to be sensible. But yeah, I do want us to be able to have a powerful discussion about this topic.
And a very honest and open conversation about it as well.
Yeah.
Hi, Sylvie. How are you? Can you see the comments?
I can't actually. Okay, sorry. I can see now. Apologies, I'm not ignoring you guys.
Oh, Pastor Chalmers watching. Hey, Pastor.
I didn't even ask you how your day was.
Yeah, my day was not so bad. I was off work today, so it was a very restful day.
Oh.
What about yours?
Yeah, it's been a long one. I did have to wake up at 5 a.m. to get to work on time, and I still managed to be late. But
After all that?
After all of that, but yeah, no, it was good. I'm here, so we thank God. And yeah, I can't see who's joining, but
I can see some of the comments. The pastor says, hi, Winnie and Roxanne.
Hi, Sister Chioma.
Cool. So we'll just give it another minute. Please share the link once again. Share it on WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever platform that you're using. Please do share it.
Make sure. I want full interactions. I want questions.
Yes.
I want you guys, even if you disagree with what we're saying, make it known so we can talk about it and it can be somewhat a nice little small debate.
Yes, challenge us, but nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to hear other views. We have particular views on the subject, but we want to hear your views on the subject also. Hi, Phil. He says, what are you guys into? You're about to find out, Phil. Stay tuned.
Why can't I see? So I'm trying to get Winnie to help me.
I have no idea. Technical support?
Okay, we're just going to have to use Winnie's one. That's fine.
Okay, so the big topic for today is a very interesting one, and we could literally speak about this for hours, but we have less than an hour to actually go into this and share our experiences and explore your thoughts on it as well. So, Rox, when will you marry?
She just went straight in for it.
Straight in.
Well, let's talk about it. The topic for today will be, when will you marry?
With the hand.
When will you marry? I think it's safe to say that a few of us in this age group, or like even the singles, you get that question thrown at you a lot.
Yep.
It can be just anywhere. It can be with your parents. It can be aunties, uncles. there's been times even walking through church, you know, after when you're on your way out in the foyer, you know, Sister Roxanne, I'm really waiting to wear my gilly. And you know, you're just like, amen. But also we have to pray because it's not easy. But, you know, you have had those questions. When will you marry? Where's our son?
When are we going to eat the cake?
When's the cake? I want to wear my Ashoe B. You know, you get those questions thrown at you a lot. And sometimes, I think it kind of depends on the person. With me, I think at first I used to feel the pressure of it. Not so much now. I will go into details to why. But depending on the person, it can come across a bit ish. It's a bit of a hit and miss. But how has that question been thrown at you before?
Oh, I think it's through conversation. Like, you know, we've had discussions about this even before today, where it's you're just speaking to a family member about, you know, work or something else, and it's like, so, and you're like, so, and then the marriage thing always comes up. But I think that as a female, it's a bit harder because I'm not going to propose to myself. And so, you know, the Bible says he that finds a wife. And so if as women, we're not in a position to like go out and like go man hunting, asking a female, like, what's going wrong? Why, like, where's the guy? It's like,
sometimes come across as a bit insensitive.
Yeah, it's quite insensitive. And I think that if it's asked if we don't have like a relationship, like, you know, if it's a close aunt or, you know, like someone that you know what's going on in my life, so you can kind of ask, so what was going on with that guy you were seeing? It's a slightly different question as to what's going on, like, you know, you're getting older, why you're not married. So I think I've gotten to a point where like the question itself doesn't bother me as much, but I think that in society in general, questions like these can actually put pressure on people that sometimes you might think maybe you have an issue or there's a problem with you, that's why you're not married. But have any of you guys ever had this question thrown at you? What was your experience with this question? Even if you're married, before you were married, did anyone ask you when you'd get married and all those things?
I would actually say as well, one of the reasons, because I said I was going to touch on it beforehand, one of the reasons why prior I did feel the pressure was, I think I actually say this to some people when they do ask, but like how my parents were when they got together. I think they were 18 when they met, and by the time they were 23, they were married and had my older sister. And then my older sister comes along, she meets her guy when she's 18, and then she's married at the age of 23. And, you know, Roxanne, 18th birthday goes by, 23rd birthday goes by, haven't brought someone to the house. And it's kind of just like,
what's going on?
I don't actually think my parents are really pushing like, oh, what's going on? But in the back of your mind, when you do have those aunties and uncles or people that just randomly come up to you and ask, oh, so what's going on? It does kind of make you feel like, maybe I should be at a specific stage right now. But I don't know. It took some time before I got to a point where I was like, not everyone's path's the same.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some things that within the ages of being 18 and 25, I've been able to do a lot, whether that's traveling, whether that's finding myself or just doing more. Because I feel like if I'm looking at it now and I'm 25 and I'm thinking, if I got married at the age of 23 or even sometimes you know when you're not ready and you know when you are ready, and I think everyone's different, so that pressure for me is not really.
And I think it's great that you've said that, you know when you're ready, because I think a slightly better question would be, you know, how are you preparing for marriage? Are you ready for marriage? Because a lot of the time, asking someone when will you marry is kind of pushing them towards marriage, but most of the time, are we even confident or sure that person is ready? Whether that's mentally, spiritually, you know, financially. These are things that even in a marriage we hear when we go to like marriage, pre-marriage, or well, not pre-marriage, but like singles workshops, talking about marriage, or when you speak to married people and they talk about, you know, the key areas that most marriages that end up in divorce, the main triggers. And it's usually, you know, things like finances, communication. So if as a single person,
the women's retreat was a big insight as well.
Yeah.
Continues.
Even as a single person, if, you know, you're if my communication is not great, or maybe I'm not really saving, or I'm not, you know, great with my finances, and you're trying to pitch me to a guy, do you really care about that guy? Because you're recommending you're recommending a wife who may then, you know, just spend all his money or not really look after the house. And I'm not saying that, I don't think that by the time you get married you have to be perfect. Like, I understand it's a journey, it's a lifelong journey even. Like till death. Till death.
You know,
so there's a process to it, but there's
Yeah.
also a certain level of preparation that's needed to be able to kind of go on that journey with someone else,
100%.
because that's like lifelong, literally.
And I think as well, we need to also remember that with that preparation, it's a serious thing till death do us part. Like, I don't generally believe in divorce, but with that, you need to ensure that you're not just entering a marriage because, you know, it was a great relationship, or because, you know, mummy has met this guy and I don't want to bring shame. What would it look like another man walking into the door? Like, you have those, you actually have those things that make people kind of feel the pressure into just running off with someone. And then they can be like, all right, well, it's good in this moment. It may be good for the first 2 years. It may be good for the first 5 years. 10 years come, 15 years come, you've had 3 kids. Where are you going? No, but you know,
She said,
sometimes,
"Where you
no,
going?"
but some people generally feel that pressure in terms
Yeah.
of, I have to stay, but then you're not happy. And then at the back of your mind, you'll be thinking, oh, I kind of had these red flags or these warnings, or I somewhat knew that he was not the one before you walked down that aisle. But it's the pressures
Pressure.
that you feel. And I think that's why I'm kind of really holding on to this. Yeah,
God's
you
time.
can keep asking me, your gele will soon come. You yourself also pray for me. And maybe you could wear the Ashobi and everything too, but you need to be, I think with that, my only advice when it comes to people or females that may feel that pressure is, you just need to make sure that you are ready, because it's gonna be, I don't even know the word to say, but in the long run, it's gonna hurt if you just force yourself into something because of
Auntie and uncle.
auntie and
And
uncle.
they're not
in the
going to be
relationship.
there.
They're not going to be in the
They're
house.
not going to be in the house.
They're not the one that if you yourself, you want Obono, but then he wants fish stew, and you guys are arguing over little things.
Auntie's at home.
She's thinking you guys are, she's waiting for her nieces,
Exactly.
her grandkids.
It's on to the next expectation.
Exactly.
But before we even go further, we want to kind of shed light on the reason we've picked this topic. And we don't think that there's anything wrong with encouraging or supporting people into marriage. And I think sometimes it's the way the question is asked that's so important. And just kind of bringing awareness to the fact that I think even for women, when you're young, you're like already planning your wedding. Like, I have friends from college, like a friend who had literally planned an entire wedding, like picked a ring.
Her own ring, she picked it.
Picked a ring, and you know, naturally I think as women, like, we have that expectation where we want to get married and we want to have kids and we want to have our families. So if you're like, for example, I used to say at 23 I'm getting married and I'm going to have my first child at 25. I'm turning 25 in like 3 months. and I think that naturally we have these something in us that's kind of encouraging us or wanting us to get married. So when you're getting to a certain age and it hasn't happened, and you have to kind of encourage yourself in the Lord, literally, and then having someone come with a very insensitive comment like, what's wrong? Like, people making comments like, you know, if you're 30 and you're not married, there's a problem. And so your kind of worst nightmare or your biggest insecurities are being like thrown at you from someone else.
Yeah.
So it's one thing fighting something from inside, like just trying to, you know, prepare yourself and, you know, build yourself up, and then having someone else come and challenge your season as well when it's kind of out of your control, in a sense. And we just want to like bring awareness to that and open up that conversation. Let's read some of the comments. So we also have Sister Choma joining us from South London. Hello. Brother Monday's watching.
Oh, wow.
Good evening, sir. How are you? Aisha. Hi, Aisha. Read some of them. See if we...
Literally a lifelong journey. That's how I
Literally.
see it. A lifelong journey.
Hi, Dami. D4C. Sister Betta.
Sister Julie.
Hi.
All right. I was also gonna say, in terms of, because you touched on like the whole pressures and whatnot, and I can vouch like that. It doesn't work. When you plan, it does not work. When you are planning, God is laughing at you. You have to know, because God's thinking, so you want to get married at this age. Okay. The age comes, you're there saying, God, he's looking at you. You don't understand that he's got something better in store. Like, I graduated when I was 20, and I was looking at people around me that were like 23 that were graduating. I thought, okay, so by the time I'm 25, I have to hit a certain like caliber. I have to be up here, because I've got like 5 years ahead of other people. So leading up to my 25th birthday, I was actually just like, oof. I said I wanted to do this. I said I wanted to do that. I wanted to be, at least have a ring on my finger at the age of 25. And
Well, you've got a ring on your finger today.
is it the right hand? It's not the hand it's supposed to be. However, yeah, like God generally laughs at you when you make these plans, because his time's perfect. And you have to kind of hold on to it. It's very easy for it to just roll off my tongue and say like, yes, you have to wait. God's time, don't worry. When you're this age, your Prince Charming's coming.
Amen.
Hallelujah. But you generally just don't know. It can be tomorrow. It can be in 5 years from now.
Ready?
Are you really throwing that question at me?
You said it could be tomorrow. Are you? If it was tomorrow,
If it was
would
tomorrow,
you be ready?
You know, there's some things that you think, okay, I'll be ready for. But then when Sister Chioma throws that is a lifelong journey.
It is.
You kind of think, okay, well, maybe there are things that I can brush up on, or maybe I could be better in this type of department, or maybe I can have exercise a bit more patience in this. You know, like there's certain things that you could think, yeah, I'm ready. But when it comes down to it, if that person walks into this room right now, and Winnie, he goes on that one knee right there in front of you. I'm just saying, if your husband comes out of it anyway, would you be ready?
What now?
I said if he walks through the door.
I mean, is he just getting dropped from the sky?
No, answer the question. It's just, do you feel like you're ready for marriage, right? Like if the perfect guy comes in and he's like, okay, let's do this.
I think I am. I think that, like I said, it's a journey and it's a process, and even from when you like accept a proposal to an actual marriage or the wedding, there's a preparation process, there's a courtship period. And I think a big thing is, you know, mentorship, accountability. You would have the premarital counselling, and having great pastors or great people, family members that could really like prepare you. So even if they see you're ready, but you need to brush up on these things, you know, we've had our own pastors share their journey, and just even from once pastor had proposed, like the preparation that still went into it. So there's never a stage where you get to kind of, I'm 100% ready for marriage, because most people that I've spoken to who are married are saying they're still getting to know their spouse like 10, 15, 20 years later. So you can never know it all. You can never be prepared, because you find out the person has this habit that you don't like. Maybe they chew a certain way, but you should be able to catch that from when you're dating them, to be honest with you. Or they put the toothbrush in one way, and you know you've never lived with them, so you wouldn't know. But it's also, I think it's more of a heart thing. So are you prepared to share your life with someone else? Are you prepared to give allowance for someone else to, because that person, whoever you get married to, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to do things that may upset you. But are you able to communicate if someone's hurt you, or they've done something or said something you don't like? Are you just able to have a chat about it? You know, you said this and I kind of took it like this way. Did you mean it that way? But if you're like very defensive and everything has to be on your terms, you're always right, then nah.
And this is where you need to exercise patience and loving someone beyond their flaws. Because with a lot of us females, you'll not be saying, oh, I mean, I look like I've put on weight here, or I've done this, or I've done that. But you're counting your own flaws. That person's going to come in, you're going to get married, you're going to see flaws that are even bigger or greater, and you're not going to now sign out of the marriage because you don't really like those. There's certain things that I feel like, I don't know, maybe especially with this generation as well, people don't necessarily deep the severity of marriage. And some people, like, sometimes you kind of see, like, do you guys even understand what you're getting into before you do it, or is it just for show, or for Instagram, or for the views, or for the likes that you do certain things? Like, yes, the wedding's a big day, but then you also have the marriage after, and some people don't prepare for it. They don't do the marriage counseling. They don't do anything like that. And then they get into a marriage and they just think, this is not what my ma has told me it was going to be like.
They didn't tell you this. You should have read the small print.
Yeah, they're fine prints. Their terms, T's and C's. T's and C's may apply.
Very
like,
small.
The fine prints. But yeah, I think in all, I just think it's not really about hearing or listening to what this person or that person says. Because some of the aunties that will come to you and say that they're not ready for marriage may not even be happy in their own marriage. And like it's really something that you just need to ensure that you yourself, you're comfortable with knowing that it is your own path and you're not watching anyone else's path, and you know that I'm going this way and I'm going to keep bettering myself. So when that person does come along, it's not like I'm trying to catch up, but we're running this race together.
Yep, so, literally. Word.
Girl, I try.
And knowing why you're getting married, I think that, you know, for most pastors, when they do like premarital counselling, they say, so why are you marrying this person? And then it's kind of like, like, but why do you desire marriage? Because marriage could easily also become an idol once you get married. Like it can take God's place if that's all you're thinking about. And understanding why you're getting married, how does that glorify God? Like, what does your marriage do for the kingdom? Why do you love that person? And I think even sometimes, like, maybe not so much in the church, but just in the world at the moment, you're seeing people like celebrities with the power couples, Instagram goals. Everyday goals. Then they get married, and they just get divorced like it's nothing. And then the next year they're married again. And it's like, why did you actually get married to begin with? Is it just to say that, you know, I'm married, and it's a statement for some people? And really understanding the intentions. Should we read some of the comments? So we've got Sister Betty said, are you ready to adjust to someone else's weakness and allow them to be themselves? Are you willing to unlearn behaviours that could negatively impact the relationship? That's such a valid point. Because sometimes we're so quick to say, oh, I don't like the way he does this, or oh, he doesn't communicate well. But are you willing to unlearn certain things, that negative things that you're doing that, you know, are harmful to the relationship? And
I think more times, not even just females, but even males as well, you can be very, very, very fast to throw judgment at someone and be like, I don't like the way you do this, or I don't like the way you do that. But then have you taken time out to actually look in the mirror and magnify what it is that you may be doing that's not helping the situation? It may be that he doesn't wash the plate well, but then you now coming and shouting and saying, you have not washed this, or it's the way that you now communicate back or retaliate, or even just ensuring that you're not that person that's causing wahala to the relationship.
Literally.
I would say. But yeah, I think that's one thing that, like I said, it's about loving someone beyond their flaws. It's Definitely. Not easy. It is a lot. You're going to constantly be learning about someone. It may just be once you even start liking something, or when you start getting over that flaw, that they bring another one that's
something
even
else.
worse. Exactly.
Hey.
And it could be 2 months after you guys say I do. It could be 7 years after. It can be after 3 kids.
And we're constantly changing as well. And you have to remember, like, there's the stages of life. So being single, or before you're single, when you're born, you have parents, you're a child. Then you get to a certain age and where you're kind of responsible for yourself. So you're paying your own bills, like your mum and dad are not paying your bills for you. You're more responsible. You're single. So your responsibilities are just kind of, it's all about you and God. And utilising that time as well to do what it is, or find out what it is you've been put on this earth for. Then, you know, being in a relationship, it changes the dynamics of your life. Your priorities will change. Being in a marriage, your priorities will change. Having children, your priorities will change. So even then, you may not realise how impatient someone is until maybe you've had a child and they're too, like, you know, snappy with the kids.
Yeah.
So you've got to realise that how they are today, when you're single, may not be how they will be once they're married to you, because people will change, and different situations in life will bring out different aspects or weaknesses or strengths. Sometimes I'm sure even outside of relationships where you haven't realised how strong you are, or how how much strength you have until you've gone through something. And it's like
Yeah.
God allows us to grow through like hard situations or just through life in general. So we've also got to bear those things in mind. Sister Chama said, loving someone beyond their flaws, very key, very true. Sylvie said, go by God's standards and not men. Amen to that, sis. He is your father and knows best. Hallelujah.
So going by God's standards and not men.
Well,
Right. That is even another one because I feel like, and Pastor, I want to see this comment that you're going to put there because
yeah,
I
Pastor, we're
already
waiting for
know
you to chip in.
that he's going to have something to say because he's definitely spoken to me and Aisha about things like this as well. And he'll be like, you guys will, like, females will be fast to want the tall, dark, handsome, bearded.
I received that.
Let me land. You want a specific caliber of guy, but
What are you doing?
Not even what you're doing or what you're bringing to the table, but it's more so about, is that for image? Is that just for him to be your trophy husband? Is it just because you know that your friends will give you the approval that he's nice or
Well done, sis.
well done.
Ooh.
But you yourself will know that you're suffering because he's not exactly what you want, but he's 6'4", so you'll just allow it.
He's not quite saved, but he goes to church, so
It's
he looks
alright.
good though.
It's like literally, it's not about. I think the standard of men and not of God is so important. And I think that's where a lot of people in our generation are losing sight of actually getting with their other half, as in that's your Adam, you have his rib. It's not necessarily about, but you know, we can actually be that YouTube couple, or we can
Goals.
Like,
Yeah. But now that you've mentioned that, I would love to throw these questions to you guys. So how much does attraction play in a relationship? Because I'm going to just be honest with y'all. I have to be attracted to you. Like, how am I going to like kiss you? Like, no, we have to be honest.
Let's
like,
talk about
on your
it.
wedding day when they say you may kiss the bride, and I'm like,
talk about it.
I need to be attracted to you to an extent. So it's not all about attraction. Yes, it has to be God's way, but I also believe that God loves me enough to give me someone that I'm actually attracted to. Because,
but
what do you guys think? How much does attraction play in a relationship, in courtship, in marriage? Do you grow into attraction, or is it something that it has to be love at first sight, or is never coming? Do you marry someone and expect to fall in love with them afterwards? We want to hear your thoughts, because these are things that people say, like marry them and you'll love them after.
I think that's
we want to see your comments.
But I think it's for me, attraction does play a part, but I do feel like you can grow into
Pastor Moses has asked a very important question. Pastor says, so would you as a lady prefer nobody ask you at all about marriage and just leave you to yourself? No, I don't think. I would love for people to ask me, you know, how I'm preparing towards marriage, or not so much ask me about marriage, but even in subtle ways prepare me for marriage. So have, you know, conversations about finances, my relationship with God. Like, am I even a praying woman? Because if I'm not a praying woman, how am I going to be a praying wife or a praying mother? So I think it's more the foundational things that build people to be ready for marriage that's missing. And we're missing are you ready for marriage? Are you preparing for marriage? And just going to like, when will you marry? I think that's
the way they put it.
Is the way the question is posed, and also the intentions as well. Just because somebody's of age doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready for marriage. There could be so many things going on in the background that you may not know, but if you're close enough to the person, you can challenge them. So if your mum was to come up to you and say, Roxanne, like, what's going on? It's different than if you're just kind of with a group of people that you don't really have a relationship with, or you're close to. They don't even know where you work, or they don't even know your surname. And they're kind of like, you're a very fine girl. Why are you not married? It's like, I get your heart, But that question is kind of like,
But
especially.
you know what? When they say that, they think they're actually dishing out a compliment.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
what I'm saying.
thank you, but then sometimes you're kind of like, no, I don't want it. Sometimes you're actually just like, no. And it's the way that they throw it at you. So like what Pastor was asking, it's not necessarily about someone not asking about marriage, because it is the way they say it. Number one, it's who's asking. And yeah, just if you leave me to it, I might even feel a bit worse. Like, right,
yeah, no one's recommending me for marriage.
I'm sure you might have a nephew somewhere. You're not even thinking about me. Don't get any
but
ideas.
I think I'm going to paint a scenario, for example. So imagine there's a young lady who's just gotten out of a relationship. It's a really bad breakup and she's heartbroken. You've come to, let's just say church, because, you know, we go to church and we're all Christians. And, you know, you're walking up the stairs, you're going to do something. And someone says, oh, what's going on? You know, where will you marry? And then a few other people turn around and saying, yeah, like, what's going on? But you've just come out of a breakup. So it's kind of like, it's a touchy subject for you. So you never really know what people are going through. But if you do know what that person is going through in their personal life, you can actually ask those kind of questions and you would know how best to phrase the question because you have the relationship. But I think it's when it's just a random, the person came to say hello and before they could even ask you how you are, it's kind of like, psh. And then other people are there and sometimes it might be sensitive. So I think it's more so just being considerate towards people because you just never know if someone broke up with them like 2 days ago, you know?
Yeah.
Let's read more comments.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you read Auntie Jackie's.
Yeah. Love at first sight is like a mirage. Love grows with time.
But but when you meet someone, do you not think like they're nice? Or is it a case where you just, there's no feeling there or like attraction?
Well, okay, so
Yeah,
that's...
throw it out there anyway.
Yeah, let's just... Because
Aisha says, attraction for me personally needs to be up there. However, there's more to it than just looks. Yep. The looks itself definitely won't carry the marriage.
Very true.
That's
But it
true.
definitely... I think I agree more with that one in a sense where, like, what's the first thing you see about someone? It's the physicality of it. Let's be
You see the
completely... We're
container.
not talking about lust, we're just saying the physicality of it. That's the first thing you see because you don't look at someone and you automatically
their soul.
know their personality or you can see through their soul. Like it's,
You're a man after God's heart, I can see it.
you'll be deceiving yourself, sis. But that's the first thing you see. And then from time, it's like, okay, cool. You learn about them a bit more, engage, you talk. Sometimes from the first or second conversation, you already know, yeah, no. But then at the same time, it can be someone that's all right, looking a bit decent. And then you kind of get to know them. And then through the way that they are, their vibe, how they are, they actually come across as the most handsome person ever because of the simple fact that it's, you know, they say that their inner beauty would come out. It can even be that. I know Jabril said something there.
Yeah, it says looks fade, so what happens after that? I think it's so true. And personally for me, there's been times where like I've met a guy and I'm not necessarily attracted to him. Like he's not like my tall, dark and handsome.
You're 6'4" bearded.
You know, like muscle, macho man. But because Sister Betta said attraction and friendship is key. As we start to like just be friends and like we speak a few times and I realize you're actually a good person. Like you've got a great character. And then all of a sudden I might start to find you attractive. So it's not just about attraction is beyond obviously the physical. It's also being attracted to that person. I want to say it's a spiritual thing too. Like if you don't feel their vibe, like if they're not around, like do you miss them? Not because of how you don't miss them because of how they look, but just their presence.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Sonia says, I personally think that attraction plays a strong part, but it should be seen as flexible. With a partner or spouse, inner beauty being far more important and long-lasting asset. Absolutely.
Definitely. But I can't, like, there's some of you that, guys, let's be completely honest. You're not going to see someone and think, what is it that, there's a specific word that pastor uses, but let's not go into that.
Let's not go into that.
Yeah, so like, you know, if there's someone that you're not necessarily attracted to, there's gonna be something like, I don't know, there's there's levels to it.
There is all.
There's actually levels to it.
But I think also being attracted to a certain level. So in a sense that if what you don't want is like, I asked a married person this question this year, actually. It was actually a cheeky question. And the person is watching. And it was, you know, if you meet someone today and they're kind of like, they're great character, spiritual, like they're saved, they're just amazing. But maybe like you wanted someone with a beard and they don't have a beard, but you're like, do you know what? Looks are not everything, beauty fades. And you marry them. And then in a couple months' time, you just meet one guy, like he's got a beard, he's got great character, like he ticks all the boxes. And it's like, if you settle, I think if you're not satisfied with someone, you leave a door open for lusting after someone else. What do you think?
I actually want to see comments for that.
I want to see comments. Pastor, please.
That's something.
Jump in there. Because I think that, you know, let's be honest, people go into marriages and they like the person, but then they go to work and then they start flirting with a colleague
Then you can ask if you genuinely love that person that you've just entered a marriage in, because there's certain things that you can see and be like, yeah, but you're not this person. Like you can see someone good looking and think, I can look at you, be nice to watch, but is there more to it? If they're ticking all the boxes, that's when I don't know who you have gone to marry.
Well, it depends on who created your box. If it was your
it's actually true. You need to,
or God's.
You need to think about
thank
it.
you, sister. Slash.
Oh, thank
you. Thank you so much.
But
guys, let us know your thoughts. All your experiences.
What would you say? How do you think you would get to that point where you are now with someone, but now another person comes in, they're ticking all the boxes? Number one, how do you get yourself into that predicament? Number two, what do you do?
Sis.
Because let's talk about it.
I think, well, once you're married, you just have to shut that door. Like your brain has to shut off. Like, just no. But you know, lust is real. So you may, and if you're married, please can you comment and just share your views.
No repercussions. Husbands don't get angry, wives don't get
let's
angry.
just be honest.
We want to be honest.
But if you're married and you see another person and they're just good looking, like you can acknowledge that person is
I don't think there's a problem
wonderfully
in
made. Obviously, where do you draw the line between appreciating God's creation and lusting after them? Because there's a fine line. But I do believe that once you get married, that's goodbye to the world. Yesterday I was having a chat with a friend and she was saying like when you're walking down the aisle, like you're literally dying. Like apparently that's the tradition, like because you're renouncing your name and you're going to take up someone else's name. Yeah. So it's a different life. But married people, how do you deal with lust? Because I don't think that lust completely disappears once you're married. I think that you're still subject to it if you're not renewing your mind and all of that stuff. But what are practical things that you do as a married person to ensure that you're not lusting after someone else after you've vowed to love someone forever?
That one is a serious question. Sister Sylvie said need to pray and speak to your pastor.
But also you need to pray and hear God for yourself.
100%.
You need to pray and hear God for yourself. Pastor says, who created the boxes and what are the guidelines for creating these boxes? I think that's like what we said.
Yeah. Who created your boxes?
So I think that the word, because when I look at, you know, like certain men in the Bible, like, you know, for the famous ones that we always talk about, David, for example, a man after God's heart, and we're praying like, oh God, give me a man that's after your heart. So there's certain elements that it has to come from the word. Yeah. So is he a man after God's heart? Does he serve? And these are things for me that I see in myself. And if God's called me to service, how am I going to get married to someone who they're not on it? Like they don't want to serve God. They're not ready to like sacrifice their life and follow Christ, and they kind of want to just do their own thing. So for me, those things come from the word. However, God also created me with my mind and preferences. So I may have a physical preference. However, I know that I have to also lay that aside sometimes. Or if someone is presented and they tick all the important things, like they're saved, they're kind, they're loving, because the Bible tells husbands to love their wives. If he's able to love me, then maybe I can overlook that you don't have a beard, you know. So
I think you're really
certain,
trying to hit this beard thing
I'm
quite
just saying,
a bit.
I'm just speaking for a friend. But I think that there's certain deal breakers that I have. It's kind of like non-negotiable, and that's you have to be saved. There's certain non-negotiable things that if you don't have it, it's okay. Let's not even waste time. And then there's certain things that are preferences. So even like the way you dress. Heather Lindsay, who's a Christian preacher, she said, you know, when she met her husband, he had no swag. But if you look at that man now, like she changed him.
And you know what? I remember there was a time when I was actually, I saw that comment from, we're going to come back to that.
Ooh,
yeah, we'll come back to that.
Pastor said the word.
I remember I've spoken to like people that I've married or, you know, courted and whatnot. And it's been this whole, he's not going to be perfect when you meet him. It absolutely it doesn't exist. But it's about how you know, mold and make them, not even make them, but you can also help shape someone. You can groom them into, you know, pushing them into a certain direction. There may be something that your future husband may look at you and be like, you know what, you could be a bit better at that. Let's push you there. You know what? You might be better. Maybe let's just push you to the gym, or and you might want to but you might want to push him to, like, you know, maybe Zara, let's say.
Yeah, you might help him with his shopping.
Exactly, but there are things.
But what if they say they're happy with their style? Because Pastor always says, if you're not going to be able to accept that thing forever, don't go into the marriage thinking you can change that person. So I think people also expect that, oh, he does this, but once I marry him, I'll change him. And if he doesn't change, then eventually you're going to get frustrated.
It's true.
So a few questions.
Wait, I just have this one comment. A beard can be grown. Don't let that be a reason you missed the one for you.
We got
I
beard
feel like that
oil.
was you.
No,
that is for you.
I was speaking for women out there. But we've got beard oils now. Hello, Crown of Glory hair care, Bags of Nature.
That is it.
They will sort you out. Okay, get 100%. Your beard oil. They've even got beard combs now. Like, it's
all of
literally.
That. Scotch Port is a really good
Sister
one.
Jackie said, "God bless you guys. You're doing great. Thank you so much." Hair by Toyin says, "As a grown 40+ woman, I do get asked the question about marriage. However, I often say God is working on me, and I'm working on my flaws by making sure I'm going into a relationship I'm not ready for, and not allowing myself to be bullied into, like, thank you. Don't allow yourself to be bullied into
Don't
it.
let these aunties bully you.
It's between you, God, and your future husband. Amen.
Exactly. And that has to be the foundation as well.
Pastor says, what about when you keep putting people into friend zone?
Winnie, I think you'll be the best person to answer that question.
I mean, what?
I think you'll be the best person to answer that
Pastor
question.
Moses, can we talk about this? In
yeah,
private?
let's talk about it. No, now. So why do you keep putting people in the friend zone?
I don't think I put people into friend zone. I think that I think we have to also appreciate that some of us just know what we want. So if I'm good friends with you and that feeling, or I don't want to say just because it's not just down to feeling, but if I don't see us having a future, if I don't see myself being able to submit to you as a wife, like, bro, you're my friend.
Why can't you pray about it?
That means you could just marry anyone then.
No, but I mean, as in you said, I don't see myself submitting to you.
Yeah, so with anything, I think that regardless, when you get a request or someone approaches you, slides into your DMs, you should always, like, you should consider the request, because, you know, so many people are not even being approached. So you have to appreciate that. But just because somebody likes you doesn't mean that because you don't want to seem like you're putting people into friend zone, you're like, okay, fine, I'll just say yes. You also have to like the person, because for you to approach me means you like something about me. What if it's not mutual? Like, it just might not be mutual, and I'm just being honest here. It may just not be mutual. And I think that in order, you know, Sister Betta mentioned earlier, friendship, like being in a friend zone it could be a good, not friend zone, like totally like deep. There's layers to the friend zone, but you have to be good friends with someone. And it's like, if I can't really be a friend to you, then that's like a foundational thing, and we can't really build on that. And so because you respect the person, you want to be civil and cordial with the person, like, yeah, we can be friends, but anything beyond, because the expectations I have from my male friends will be different from what I would have from a future husband. So if you're in a friend zone, like, you can't hurt me because like the expectations are different. But if I'm willing to go into a relationship with you, then there's more of a standard or an expectation because that's a lifelong thing. So
I'm a bit on the fence about what you just said.
why?
Okay, so I hear what you mean in terms of, obviously, if you're a male friend, I have different expectations as opposed to someone that I'm trying to get into a relationship with because you can hurt me. Let's talk about that.
No, you can't. So
Yeah, exactly. Because that person, in terms of the person that you want to get into a relationship
they
with,
can still hurt you, but I'm trying to say, like, okay, let's go back. So, for example, if I don't like someone, I'm not attracted to you. There's no feeling there. Like, it's too manual. Like, it's just no. I have to turn it. Like, it's just I can't be in a relationship with someone that I don't like in that way. Like, but as a friend, I don't have to like feel a certain way about you.
No, I just think in that sense, once you friend zone a guy, it's not because I want to friend zone you because I see a future with you. It's I want to friend zone you because I don't see it.
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm
you're not
saying.
going to look at him in that type of way in terms of, but you can't hurt me. So maybe you being in the friend zone is better off for yourself. It's not necessarily that.
No, I think that miscommunicated. But if I don't like you in that way, then we're just friends. And there's nothing wrong with being just friends. And I think we need more male-female relationships, like friendships, because some people don't know how to be friends with someone without catching feelings. And it's a healthy thing to be able to actually just have a normal conversation with the opposite sex without it being about, I want to marry you or I like you.
Or somewhere down the line.
Because then, like, it's just, then everyone, when you see a man or you see a woman, it's just automatic screening. Oh, could you be my? And then you miss out on the actual friendship. So when you go to work or you go, like, you're just analysing people. You're now like a scanner, like just scanning. Are you a potential suitor? And it's good to have friendships.
You learn a lot. You actually learn a lot from having a close-knit friendship with the opposite sex. It's not necessarily about whether it could possibly go into that way. So, Pastor, the answer to the question is, we don't necessarily friend zone people just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
We're not constantly putting people in friend zone. I think that's
Like,
just
who should
where
I friend zone today?
God intended them to be, and they must stay.
It was the will of God. Oh goodness. Pastor says, surely someone that is your friend is worthy to be a spouse. I think there's a potential for them to be a spouse, but not every friend can. I mean, I can only marry one person at the end of the day, so it's got to be more than just. There's more to it.
Pastor Jim, I don't agree.
Yeah.
Surely someone that is your friend is worthy to be a good spouse.
There's potential. I think they tick certain boxes in the sense that for me to be able to be friends with you, I must trust you, I must love you, I must care for you.
100% in that aspect, in that direction, yeah. But in terms of like complete marriage, I think it's different. And for some people, it may even be, how do you now go from being friends and buddies to now like going into that romantic thing because you're so used to what you guys are like.
That goes
how does it go into now being all romantic and stuff? Because I feel like you will laugh at someone.
Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
As in, like, if he just, one of your best friends, he tries to do something romantic, you'll just be a bit like, what you did? Because you've seen him in, like, a friendship light, so you didn't even know that he's really about in that kind. I don't know.
Someone, Sonia says, and this is literally what you were just saying, I think a reason why you put people in friend zone, not you, people, put people in friend zone is because you may be too familiar with them. I get it. I think also men have to, like, let's be honest, some men don't understand how to actually get your attention early. So it's that you will allow yourself to go deep into the oceans of friend zone. And then once you're now like brother zone, now you want to tell me like, I like you. So I think that once there's just like, you're not too familiar with them and we haven't fully friend zoned you. When things are you're still getting to know, you can kind of make your intentions known a little bit before like the whole familiar thing comes into it. Because if you've known someone for 10 years, they've never expressed any interest and now they're just like, you just take off your wig in front of them. Like there's no filter.
You have to be that comfortable.
What do you mean?
As in, I want to be able to fling off my wig.
Yeah. But would you do that on a date?
we're not talking about dates. That's still the courting part. There's just certain things you don't need to see until the household.
You know?
So, but in a sense where, no, you definitely have to be able to be that comfortable. And yeah, I guess you can achieve that with someone that's been a friend first. Because I feel like when you
have to be friends
when you
first.
meet someone and it goes straight off into that like romantic kind of side, there's certain things that you try and hide. Whereas when you guys are just friends, you know what they're like when they're angry. You know what they're like when you just know them on a different type of scale to someone who you're dating, because of the simple fact that there are things that person's going to try and hide from you because they want to keep a certain persona. Yeah. So I hear it. Friendship's definitely necessary, but some people that are in the friend zone need to stay in the friend zone.
And just be kept there.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Glory. But I think with relationships, we could really go into it because there's so many different factors that play into it. And I guess today we just really wanted to communicate, and we didn't even get to go into the other things we wanted to discuss.
Yeah,
there's so many other pressures in society after marriages. When are you having children? How many children? Like, you've had one, have the other one. And some of these comments can really be insensitive. We did have a photograph that we wanted to show, just of different kind of pressures in society. This amazing artist kind of communicated this entire message in just a few photos. And it's one thing after another. It's after you finish uni, you have to get the perfect job, your dream job.
Mm-hmm.
You need to marry your future husband or whoever. Marry your best friend. Then you want your dream house, your dream car, and it just keeps going.
And
I
then your
think
kids, and then everything after that just has to be perfection until it's not even until the next sibling comes along and then they also get married, because I feel like the pressure still somewhat continues. But there are a lot of people, I think, especially within the culture, it's kind of like you can be married for a certain amount of time and you have family that's pressurizing you, like, when's the grandchild? I'm guilty. I do it with my older sister. I'm very guilty. I do it with my best friend. I'm guilty. I do it. But then I think at the same time, they know that it's coming from love, and I won't be... It's different when you kind of throw it out there to, a family member kind of being a bit harsh with it and they're not understanding. Like, there's so much you need to consider. I think in this day and age, it's a lot harder than it was beforehand with, like, previous generations. A lot of people got married a lot earlier. They had kids earlier. For instance, we're now here screaming dream house. Do you know how hard it is to get a mortgage?
In this day and age, goodness.
For someone our age, it's not easy. So
it's not.
There's so much that goes into it, and I feel like, I won't say people don't understand, but I don't think they know the depth of, like...
Those questions, like what they can really do to people, how you question...
you generally don't know what someone's going through. It could be just something you say that may trigger a certain reaction, and I think it's just about knowing how to word things and being very easy and careful with it.
So we're going to close with this last comment from Pastor Moses. Pastor, you're really going for it today. This is where the problem is, because as a lady, you end up with people you don't really know, because all of them who have shown their real self have become familiar. You friend zone them. This is what's causing problems in marriages today. We will tackle that question next time. I think there's a balance, sir. I think there's absolutely a balance between being friends with someone, being in a friend zone, and then, deciding to go into or pursue a relationship or potential relationship. And not every time that you agree to, have a relationship with someone or court someone, it doesn't always end up in marriage, but the intention is always to get married.
Yeah.
But for one reason or another, it could just not work out. And I think that if you've been in previous relationships and you can see that this didn't work with this person because of X, Y, Z, so you're not going to try and make the same mistakes. So rather than go into it to let's see if it works out, let's just avoid that, not waste our time.
Yeah.
If you see certain kind of characteristics that are similar with someone else, not that you're comparing them to that person, but as you go through relationships, you have to learn and learn quickly so you're not making the same mistakes. But I do think that, yes, so many people get friend-zoned that maybe shouldn't be friend-zoned. I wouldn't say that I friend-zoned anyone, so I don't know what that feels like.
Sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay.
And on the other hand, people have been friend-zoned and should absolutely stay there. But if you don't want to be in the friend zone, like, man up and say it. Like, I think challenge. No, like you have to, if you're not going to tell someone you care about them and then they friend zoned you and you never speak up, like when you get to the wedding and they say, speak now, forever hold your peace, mate, hold your peace.
Hold your peace, because we
When the
spent money
opportunity
on
was
the,
there.
on the wedding.
I've bought my dress, like it's okay,
Everything,
I'm good to
yeah.
go.
I think I do hear what Pastor's saying. At the same time, it's kind of about knowing what you want, and where that can, there's like a fine line between settling
Yep.
because you feel like, you know what, maybe it's better to go with let's say the angel that we know than the angel that we don't know. But at the same time, only you, like, I know even when it came to you getting married as well, you had to pray on it. There's certain things that you just kind of know if it will work, if it won't. And yeah, there are some people that they go into marriage with someone that they don't genuinely know, but was God the genuine foundation of that marriage before you entered it? Because I feel like if God was the foundation, it wouldn't necessarily be that case.
Exactly.
And you would know what you're going through, or God would have spoken to you, or like regardless, you would have worked on it. Or there's levels to it, and people are entering marriages nowadays for the fun of it. And I generally think that people, young people that are getting into it, it may be because of pressures, it may be because they just feel like it's a trend now. Because more times there are a lot more weddings these days than birthday parties. There is a wedding every Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
literally,
and Sunday.
weekdays now. We can't even do weekends anymore because you just
you'll
got
be
to spread
telling
it
work
out.
I have to leave early because there's a wedding I need to attend.
Literally. But all in all, if you're single and you're trusting on the Lord, keep trusting, keep preparing yourself. Don't use this as an excuse to say, like, you know, God is doing his thing. Like, you've got to, you know, the Bible says you should watch and pray. So you gotta be alert, but at the same time, don't allow extra voices. The voice of God is the one that matters the most. Definitely. And don't allow yourself to be pressured or bullied into a marriage. But that's all we have time for today. We're looking forward to our next one.
Yeah, we will let you guys know. Make sure that you do subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Facebook page. And we will literally let you know the next time we do have one. A prophetic entry service this Sunday at the North London branch. Make sure you're there 10
1st of December. Wow.
The year has gone by so fast.
We'll see you next month. And thanks for joining us this evening.
Good night.
Bye.